The sheer amount of information that the internet gives us can lead to a lot of stress, can lead to this problem of information overload. There's just too much to handle and therefore reduce your productivity. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I manage this problem of information overload using a technique called building my second brain, which is based off this book by Tiago Forte called Building a Second Brain. So in this video, I'm going to describe what a second brain is, how it can help you with information overload, how it can reduce your stress and increase your productivity. Now, if we haven't met yet, my name is Sankalp. I'm a PhD student in psychology at the University of Oxford, and I've dedicated my whole life studying psychology, be it through academia, be it through meditation, be it through hypnosis, magic, what have you. Just tried philosophy, just tried to understand it all. So before we talk about how to go about building a second brain, we need to first clearly understand what the problem is. Now, when I was younger, one of my first digital purchase was the software called OmniFocus, which helped me manage my life and it helped me be productive. But as I grew more and more and I read more and more, I realized that there's just so much to digest. And this system of building a second brain helps to address that problem, in which you store things in your second brain so that your first brain is not used for remembering, but it's instead used to make connections. And the second brain can do the job of the remembering and the memory stuff. The second problem is that there is a service that we do to our future self when we remember things. And of course, because we forget, but our second brains will not forget, what we are doing when we put things in our second brain is serving our future self. So if I read something now, and if I make connections and if I draw insights from it, I don't want to go back to the source again. Like for example, in this video, if you learn something, you don't want to come back to this video again and again, although it would be great for the view count, but you want like quick summary that you made or a quick synthesis that you made or some sort of an easy access tool where you could go to, and that will serve your future self a bit more. Because what if you can't find this video later? Now this video may not be important enough, but what if this is like life-changing advice? Like I made a video on sleep where I gave 5 critical tips. Like I can totally imagine if someone writes those tips down and refers to them, that will be so wonderful. And then if you want to write an article on sleep, if you want to create something, it's just so easily accessible for you. And you don't have to go back to the original video, find the source, dig through books, find the exact page number. No, it's just there right in front of you. So the second use case of having a second brain is to just serve your future self, which might need that information in the future. It's a bit like investing. You do make some decisions now, you take some pain now, some investments you make so that your future self is served. Okay, now having familiarized ourselves with the problem of the second brain, the question is now, what is the second brain and how do you create it? In the words of Tiago Forte, the author of the book, he says that the second book is a private knowledge collection that only you have access to. So imagine having a library, but in this library, only the things that matter to you exist, and that has been carefully curated and filed by you so that it's easy to access. Tiago says, your second brain is a private knowledge collection designed to serve a lifetime of learning and growth, not just a single use case. It's a laboratory where you can develop and refine your thinking in solitude before sharing it with others. There are 4 concrete benefits that Tiago thinks comes from having a second brain. Number 1 is to make ideas concrete, so that it's not just this wishy-washy thing in your brain when you've read a book. Number 2 is to link ideas. What if I want to link a book that I read right now and I see some connection in a book that I read later? I can actually look in my second brain and link and refer to each other so that both of them now create something that's greater than the parts themselves. Number 3 is to incubate ideas over time. So I can have an idea now and it can sort of just germinate in my brain, or it can just accumulate in my second brain. And then after a few years, I might look back at these notes and think that, maybe something fits in here. Now you might think that this is a bit unrealistic. Who looks at notes from 4 years ago? But I remember I made some notes during my master's, which is now 4 years ago, in fact 5 years ago. And this was about how do I run this specific software that's involved in writing my dissertation. And then I completely forgot about it because I didn't have to write a dissertation or anything long form in the meanwhile. But now that I had to write the PhD thesis, I could go again on Stack Overflow or all of these different websites and forums which may have answers in bits and pieces, or I have a simple 100-word note that I wrote during that time that I could just refer to. And then it saved me literally hours and hours of time to have that note. And the final fourth concrete benefit is to sharpen our unique perspective. Now, of course, this second brain is exclusively yours, and it has ideas exclusively from yourself. So what this brain can do for you is, as things pile up here and as you make more connections, as you refine your thinking, it can sharpen your own unique perspective. Like, I can clearly look at the outline of my second brain, which is right in front of me right now, and clearly see that right now I have to I have to make some videos. I'm on a fat loss phase of my, fitness journey. And then there are all sorts of areas that I have listed here. And I can, at a glance, see what I'm working on, what my interests are right now, and the things that I'm actively invested in. If you are interested in emotional intelligence, social connection, that kind of thing, then I have dedicated my entire life to study this. And to help you understand your own emotions better, I have created a free quiz or a scorecard that will take like 10 minutes to answer, and then you get this customized report on what areas of emotional intelligence you are good at, some areas that might need improvement, and offers a specific guidance, a specific plan for just your needs. And the link for that is down below. Check it out. It's zero cost. Alright, so all in all, if you suffer from emotional overload, digital overwhelm is another way to put it, then building a second brain can be a lifesaver. It can drastically reduce the stress in your life, drastically increase the clarity of your thinking, and overall help you have just a more productive work life or just a productive idea cycle if you have a second brain. Now let's move on to how to build a second brain. Now again, the concept is just one, the methods are many. My primary software for my second brain, where I take most notes, is this software called Obsidian. This is again free of cost, and there are a few features of Obsidian that I really like. Number one is it has a folder structure, but at the same time it also has a very good search functionality. So I don't necessarily have to dig through all sorts of folders to find my relevant note or relevant file. Like the outlines for all of these videos that I make are made on Obsidian. Any other research I do, like for the neuroscience video, I did a fair amount of research, and all of that lived in one folder inside of Obsidian. So I really like Obsidian as my primary note-taking tool. It's incredibly fast. One downside with Obsidian is that the mobile app is kind of slow. So if that's a problem, or if something mobile is something you care about deeply, then Apple Notes is a very good alternative, or the native Notes app in whatever operating system you happen to use. I sometimes use Apple Notes if I want to take quick ideas and I can't wait for Obsidian to load and so on. So that's my primary software. But specifically for my PhD, I have used this software called Notion. And the reason why I've used Notion for the PhD and not Obsidian is because Notion is phenomenal at collaborative features. So it makes it very easy to share my notes with others. It's just a click of a button, quite literally. And because my PhD is essentially collaborative, I have to share my findings with my advisors. I have to share some other insights with my colleagues and friends. Having things in Notion just means I could simply click a share button, and then that note or that idea that I synthesized is easily available to view, and I don't have to invest time in creating additional PowerPoints and things like that, and it's just always ready to be shared. If you're interested in how I use Notion in more detail, then I have an exclusive video on Notion. I will link to it down below. And finally, the third software that I use, and this is more for task management. I don't look at it as often, but I do, and that is OmniFocus. Now, generally, if there is some to do, I don't think notes is the best way to capture it, and I don't think Notion it's a bit too powerful to just capture a simple grocery list. So for that, I use OmniFocus. It's a bit more powerful than a simple list, but it does the job. You can use reminders, whatever. In general, remember that it's not about the tools. Like, I'm not here to endorse any of these tools. I think you should use whatever you like and based on the budget you have. Most of these tools are luckily free or come with your computer. Like, for example, Notes that comes with a Mac or an iPhone. And they're equivalent in Android and other operating systems. You could even use paper for that matter. Having said that, paper is a bit difficult because it's hard to look up notes. So yeah, theoretically you can use it, but I would highly not recommend it, because you want the system to stay long and you want to be able to look up things and you want to be able to dig things and link things and edit and so on. And the best way to do that right now is to use digital media. All right, once you do have the notes, what do you do with them? Tiago recommends this technique called progressive summarization, which is every time you see a note, you improve it slightly by highlighting it. Every time you read it, you highlight the parts that are particularly speaking to you. So I might have like a whole section highlighted from various Kindle books, but only a few sections might speak to me. So what I do is in my notes, first of all, I have a software called Readwise that syncs notes to my second brain, which is Obsidian. And then inside of Obsidian, I could highlight these notes. And that essentially helps every time I read that note. I've synthesized it a bit more and I've focused it a bit more. So there's just a few key nuggets that are highlighted which I can focus on, and I do not have to focus on the whole note, which may or may not be as relevant. So we have talked about note-taking apps, we have talked about task management apps. The third thing I would recommend is to have some sort of a calendar app. Now I'm aware that I'm veering more into general productivity than just building a second brain, but calendar apps like Fantastical are really good because they help you to enter your events in natural language format, which makes it really easy to enter events. And then I try to live by my calendar as much as possible, and you could consider that as part of your second brain because hey, you're not remembering meetings, everything is synthesized in one place and things are easy to go. I'm not going to talk too much about calendar apps, you all know all it is, so just wanted to mention them. In summary, we discussed the problem, like why you need a second brain and why you might consider building a second brain. I discussed some of the solutions and techniques like progressive summarization about how to use your second brain. And finally, I gave you some tools like OmniFocus, Notion, Obsidian, etc., which you can use to build your second brain. If you like this video, check out Tiago's book. It's an excellent book. And check out my scorecard, which will help you become more emotionally intelligent. Ultimately, productivity is not about techniques, it's about how you manage your emotions, and what gets measured gets improved. So I've made it easier for you to measure your emotional intelligence with this scorecard. It's high quality, it's zero cost, all it costs is your email address. And if you can give me an email address, I can give you this beautiful scorecard. I can send it right to you and you will love it.